Reg Chard is a great Australian. He's 98 years old and is one of just a handful of diggers from the Kokoda campaign still with us. To mark the 80th anniversary, Reg has published his memoir.
I raised my .303, wedged its butt into my shoulder to absorb the recoil from the shot, sighted my target, took aim.
It's been 80 years.
Then it was a matter of time for me to do what the army had trained me to do. I shot him.
Today, the memories are just as raw. Reg, some would say you're a hero.
No, don't. Heroes are the ones who don't come home. They're heroes, not me. I've had a good life. They've had nothing.
This deeply honourable man feels a sense of survivor guilt.
Because what I've had and what they've missed, they've had no life. In a split second of hearing the bang from my rifle, I watched as the Japanese soldier collapsed to the ground in a crumpled heap, dead.
Reg Chard is one of the last Kokoda diggers.
There was no particular reason I picked out the first man I shot.
This year marks 80 years since the Kokoda campaign. To mark the anniversary, Reg Chard has penned his memoirs, simply called The Digger of Kokoda.
And I confess that I did so without any thought or the slightest hesitation.
Reg was an 18-year-old baker and pastry apprentice when he decided to fight for his country.
17th November 1941.
At first, the recruitment sergeant knocked him back because of his job in the bakery.
Now, I can't tell you what he did say to me, but all the blokes were all laughing because they were all a lot older than me. So anyway, I thought this is no good, so I went back.
So Reg became a storeman for a week.
So I went back to the same bloke, Martin Place, the next Friday. What do you want? The same question. I told him. He said, what do you do? And I said, here's my pay packet, storeman. He said, OK, fine, sign here.
Within 2.5 months, the boy from Marrickville in Sydney's inner west was on board a troop ship, bound for he knew not where. It was only when the ship docked that his mate asked the question.
He said to the bloke on the wharf, where are we? And the bloke said, Port Moresby. And somebody else said, well, where's that? New Guinea. Where's that? You'll find out.
He's a highly trained soldier.
On board with him was renowned war photographer Damien Pera.
He was a great man. Only one thing was wrong with him. He was too brave.
Pera's images documented the Kokoda campaign. He was to later die by a sniper's bullet. Reg was also an amateur photographer, and he managed to sneak his camera on board even though the troops were told they couldn't have them.
I wanted to take photos of all the men. That's what I really wanted for.
Reg has kept those photos. He struggles, though, to look at them.
I cry all the time. So this is why I don't look at them too often. You know, and of course they're all ages and they had all different sorts of religions. They had all different sorts of jobs. I mean, but they were still, a lot of them are young men, you know.
Eventually, Reg and his mates were heading into the jungle that was the Kokoda Trail. They made the last stand at Imita Ridge.
At one stage there, when the Japanese pushed us right back and they told us, like, you know, if you're all killed here at Imita Ridge, so be it. That's when we knew things were grim.
Luckily, the Japanese retreated, hoping to be joined by 20,000 reinforcements.
And if they'd have done that, this country was gone. Well, we were gone anyway, so this country would have been gone. They were better men than we were. Well, I mean, they'd been fighting since 1932, so I mean, they had 10 years of us, so we had to learn the hard way.
Reg says he was never scared.
I can't describe it. You're not scared. It just seems to be part of your life.
Life was hell on earth, persistent rain, mud up to their knees, terrible terrain. The jungle so dense the enemy could be just centimetres away. Many Japanese could speak perfect English and would try to lure the Aussies into a trap.
You might be out in the jungle somewhere and hear somebody saying, "Oh mate, come and get me, I'm shot in the guts and I can't get up," you know. And the only thing they couldn't say was Woolloomooloo. And you'd sing out, "Did you live in Woolloomooloo?" "No, I don't live in Woolloomooloo." And they couldn't say Woolloomooloo, so that's it. You'd give them a burst wherever you thought they were, you know.
Days turned to weeks, weeks turned to months.
It was a terrible, terrible experience. I mean, you really can't describe it.
At night, it would be unbearably cold.
You know, I was feeling around, I felt something, I thought, well, that feels warm, so I moved over alongside of it. As it got brighter in the morning, I looked and I was laying next to a dead body and it was full of maggots and they were all on me.
Reg remembers clearly the day he lost two mates. They were standing on either side of him. One had just told Reg about his plans if they got out alive.
"I'm going to marry Isabel, that's his girlfriend." And he said, "I want you to be my best man." I said, "Oh, that'd be lovely, you know." And he took one step forward and bang, he got a bullet straight through here and he was dead before he even started to fall over.
His other mate was also hit in the head. Reg figured a tree had obscured him from the enemy.
So I did what they don't expect to do. They expect you to run away. I ran towards them and threw them out of gear. And I'm still here today.
Reg lost too many friends to count. He also took lives.
You don't think about it. It's either him or me.
Reg, is there one memory that keeps you awake at night?
It was the worst thing I ever saw.
It was towards the end of the campaign when Reg and 12 of his mates came across a camp where Japanese officers had taken a number of women prisoner, abused them and executed them.
You have no idea. You wouldn't think that another human being could do it to a human being, but the things that they did.
The Aussies mounted an attack and killed the Japanese troops.
We killed them all, and what we found out was 25 white ladies, and they'd had them for months, evidently.
The women had been mutilated, beheaded.
That's what haunts me for night time.
The 13 Aussies who bore witness that terrible day made a pact to forever keep the identities of the women secret so their families would never know the horrific truth.
And I'm the last one left, so nobody will ever know.
But you know?
I know who they were, yes, yeah.
The Kokoda campaign saw Reg contract malaria and scrub typhus, which killed many of his mates.
Because when you get scrub typhus, you're unconscious for 15 days. And either you wake up or you just don't.
He had no idea when the war ended.
I collapsed on the 21st of January 1943, and the Japanese surrendered on the 22nd.
Reg is convinced he owes his life to the local Papua New Guineans, the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels.
Real angels, yes, yeah. And they would never leave you. If the Japanese slaughtered them, so be it, but they wouldn't leave you.
11 years ago, cancer claimed the life of his childhood sweetheart, Betty. While she was being treated at Concord Hospital, Reg came across the Kokoda Trail Memorial Walkway. It saved his life. Today, he's the last Kokoda digger, educating all about the horrors of that awful time.
The man in the middle is Lieutenant Bob Campbell.
Many of the men featured in what are iconic photos have now been etched in stone here. Many Reg's long-lost mates.
The chap with him there, that's one of my personal mates.
He was a friend of yours?
Yes.
Make no mistake, Reg is one proud Australian.
We've got to have it the right way up.
While the tears are always close, the memories are closer.
And even to this day, well, I'm going like it now to start with, so this is what happens all the time.
What a remarkable man. He's a proud Australian and we, Reg, are proud of you.